Anyone can proclaim his views when life is easy, but when the sword is at his throat, that's when we see his true conviction. Paul and Muhammad were both persecuted. Paul was persecuted for preaching the gospel. Muslims think that Muhammad was persecuted for preaching Islam, but that's not what their sources say. Muhammad was persecuted for mocking the gods and goddesses of the pagans of Mecca. We read in the History of At-Tabari, Volume 6, page 93, "The messenger of God proclaimed God's message openly and declared Islam publicly to his fellow tribesmen. When he did so, they did not withdraw from him or reject him in any way, as far as I have heard, until he spoke of their gods and denounced them. When he did this, they took exception to it and united in opposition and hostility to him, except for those of them whom God had protected from error by means of Islam." A few pages later, Muhammad's tribesmen describe Muhammad's general approach towards reaching polytheists with the message of Islam. "We have never seen the like of what we have endured from this man. He has derided our traditional values, abused our forefathers, reviled our religion, caused division among us, and insulted our gods. We have endured a great deal from him." Now that's strange. Muslims in the West tell me that it's wrong and immoral to criticize another person's religious beliefs, and yet their favorite prophet viciously mocked other people's religious beliefs. So the polytheists of Mecca responded by persecuting Muhammad. Muslims tend to exaggerate the level of persecution Muhammad faced, however. The pagans threw pebbles at him, they spit on him, they eventually decided to kill him. But this persecution only lasted a few years until Muhammad moved to Medina. That's when the persecuted Muhammad became Muhammad the persecutor. In comparing the lives of Muhammad and Paul, we quickly realize that the persecution Muhammad suffered was a joke compared to the persecution Paul suffered. Paul gives us a partial overview of his trials in 2 Corinthians 11. "I have worked much harder, been in prison more frequently, been flogged more severely, and been exposed to death again and again. 5 times I received from the Jews the 40 lashes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was pelted with stones. 3 times I was shipwrecked. I spent a night and a day in the open sea. I have been constantly on the move. I have been in danger from rivers, in danger from bandits, in danger from my fellow Jews, in danger from Gentiles, in danger in the city, in danger in the country, in danger at sea, and in danger from false believers. I have labored and toiled and have often gone without sleep. I have known hunger and thirst and have often gone without food. I have been cold and naked." Paul wrote these words in the mid-50s AD. He still had years of beatings and imprisonments ahead of him, so by the end of his life, most of his body would have been covered in scar tissue. The reason this is important is that the more you're persecuted, the more you'll be inclined to stop and think, was that really a revelation from God that I received? I need to be sure because it's costing me a lot. We know that Paul had complete confidence in his revelations because he endured outright torture over and over and over again. Muhammad was persecuted, but given the endless supply of wives and sex slaves and money and special moral privileges that only applied to him, we'll just never know how long he would have endured if he had faced anything remotely resembling what Paul faced. On a side note, I'm always amazed at the Muslim reaction to the persecution of Muhammad in Mecca. Muslims look to this period and complain about the intolerant pagans. How could they persecute our beloved prophet? Why were they so bigoted and Islamophobic? But let's be consistent for just a moment. Muhammad preached openly against the religious beliefs of the people of Mecca for about 10 years, and he survived. If I went to Mecca today and preached openly against the religious beliefs of the people who live there now, Would I last 10 years? Would I last 10 months? 10 days? 10 hours? If I stood outside the Kaaba and began openly preaching against the religious beliefs of the people of Mecca today, would I last 10 minutes? Muslims complain about the intolerance of the pagans who opposed Muhammad, and yet the pagans were far, far more tolerant than the man who subjugated them. Welcome to Islam, where tolerance, much like Muhammad's sexual attraction to his child bride Aisha, is a one-way street. Hi everyone, thanks for watching. In case you stumbled upon this video while browsing or searching, I wanted to let you know that it's part of a series comparing Paul and Muhammad. So if you'd like to see the full series, be sure to click on the playlist. If you're already in the playlist, you're about to see that Muhammad was spiritually disturbed. Paul wasn't.